Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining this series of lecture that we offer every first Sunday of the month. The lecture of today is titled Prayer as a Means of Mental Spiritual Defense. In many Bantu ethnics, the same word is used to say to pray or to plead one's case in a court of law. In Kikongo, that word is sâmba. It implies that our ancestor knew that to pray is like defend oneself against the false accusation of the devil, nkadia-mpemba. Hence, prayer is a means of one's mental, spiritual defense.
Welcome to the channel Zilalowa of Dr. Yaluka. To begin, please subscribe and tick the notification bell in order not to miss our videos. Thank you for joining.
As usual, we will first start by what we use as introductions. This means we will first introduce the lecturer that I am. We will introduce his academy, and because it is a Kemetic academy, we will speak about the difference between the approach of its Kemetism, which is neo-Kemetism, and its difference from the traditional Kemetism. And then we will introduce the Kemetic cosmological argument as the natural systematic theology of African traditional religion. The purpose of insisting on this natural systematic theology is that it reveals an aspect of African traditional religion which is unique. It shows that African traditional religion is an exact science, while the other religions of the world are mere belief system. So we are going to use this natural systematic theology in order to introduce the notion of precedence of God and explain scientifically why prayer is like a means of one's defense in a court of a trial. I'm Dr. Chatizwalu Bazario. I hold a PhD honor in theology, and I'm an apologist. And as such, I founded Zilalowa, which is a modern academy of African traditional spirituality. Zilalowa comprises two branches: an academic research branch called Institut des Sciences Animiques. Within the frame of these institutes, I made researches. I wrote 15 books that are available at Amazon, and I authored about 35 scientific papers. Aside from the Institut des Sciences Animiques, which is the research branch of Nzilalowa, there is also an initiatory branch, which is called also Nzilalowa. So inside Nzilalowa, you have the Institut des Sciences Animiques and Nzilalowa. In Nzilalowa has a branch. We initiate African through the traditional divine practice of the spirituality bequeathed by our ancestors. Because in the domain of the practice of African traditional religion, you have the divine practice and the human practice. in the divine practice, power is obtained through purification of thoughts. The master purpose in the highest purpose of the practice at this level is to enable one become back a child of the Most High. He has been in heaven. And it is a level where healing is done through the purification of thought, and a level where witchcraft is also defeated through the power of love. Now, the power acquired at the divine level can be used only for good purpose and not for evil purpose. But this power is transmitted through faith. It is perpetrated through faith as a human power, which is used in the human practice of African traditional religion. So in the human practice, the purpose is to use the power in order to elevate, protect, and organize society. At this level, power can be used for good or for evil purpose. But the last purpose is normally forbidden. And the ancestors who act at this level are called the ancestors of nature, Bakulu Banitseke, while at the divine level, the ancestor who attends are the Bakulu Bamaza, the ancestor who remain in a world of purity symbolized by water. So we deal with the divine practice of African traditional religion. And I said that we are a Kemetic movement. There is a relation between what we teach and the religion of ancient Egypt. So we are Kemites, but we are different from the traditional Kemites. We are Neo-Kemites. The Kemetic movement started during the year 1970s, and it was impulsed by the work of Sheikh Intajab. It is an eclectic movement in which people use induction and speculation to make a relecture of the hieroglyph in order to reenact or reestablish the religion of ancient Egypt. And usually it is an anti-Bible movement. While Neo-Kemetism, our trend of Kemetism, started in the year 2008 with the discovery of the Kemetic cosmological argument, a set of deductive covering doctrines of a religion leading to salvation, which is solar religion. A comparative study proves that this religion or this Kemetic cosmological argument is congruent with the religion of ancient Egypt, of Sumer, and even of Congo. Thus, we came to the conclusion that in its original trend, which trend has been kept in Congo religion, African traditional religion is an exact science. And because we rely on a natural systematic theology, that is the Kemetic cosmological argument, we can use comparative study in order to determine what in the Bible is conform to our religion and what is not. So we are not anti-Bible. We don't reject the Bible totally, because the spiritual principles that are there has been stolen from our ancestors. The title of our lecture is Prayer as a Means of Mental, Spiritual Self-Defense. As he was touring the Mayombe region of the former Kingdom of Congo, Bitremieux, a Catholic priest, asked a question to the Congo people he met, the Bayombe people he met. He asked them, "What? How do you call disease?" They said, "In Kikongo, we call disease Bela." And he asked again, when the fact of reprimanding someone, how do you call it? And they said Bela. And now when someone loses a case in a court of law, they said, we say in that case also Bela. And then Bitrimi said, okay, that we have two different words. The Congo people said, no, those are three synonyms, which was awkward for the Catholic priest. In fact, what the Congo people means is that to be sick is the result of a failure to obey to the laws of holy ancestors or failure to put oneself in a proper protective relationship with these ancestors. So in both cases, to be sick is like to have failed, failed to obey the divine order. In order to understand the seemingly awkward perception of the Congo people, let us examine the notion of the Most High and the notion of the human being according to the Kemetic cosmological argument, which is the natural systematic theology of Congo, the Congo religion. The Kemetic cosmological argument can be summarized for the sake of this lecture in this way. I'm an individual being, you are individual beings. Therefore, this universe in which we live is an individual one because it is an aggregate of individualities. Being an individuality, this temporal universe is the work of an individual cause. However, the individual nature of this cause begs the existence of other similar causes. They may have not yet created their universes, but they exist. So we have potential creators and effective creators. Now here I use an hypothesis in order to shorten the demonstration, but I'm going to prove this hypothesis later. The hypothesis is that every creation exists in its creator. So by capitalizing on this hypothesis, there is an entity which includes all the potential and effective creators. And that entity is the greatest possible being, because any universe you can imagine will be in its creator, and that creator will be in this latter entity. So this greater entity is the supreme being, the most high. Therefore, the most high must be indivisible, immutable. If he were not, then there might be a principle of his mutability and divisibility. And that principle must be greater than the Most High, which is greater than the greatest possible being. This is impossible. Therefore, God is absolutely immutable and absolutely indivisible. It follows also that the Most High must be transcendent. The transcendence of the Most High means not only that he is above everything, it means that he doesn't know evil. If the Most High knew evil, within the frame of his indivisibility, in him to know and to be are the same and one thing. Therefore, if God knew evil, he will be infinitely good and infinitely bad, which is impossible. So God is transcendent. If the Most High is transcendent, this means that he is above everything and he doesn't know evil. We have said that every creator manifests an individuality which is included in the most high. However, the most high is indivisible. Therefore, we come to the conclusion that every creator expresses the fullness of the most high, but in a unique way. That fullness we can call the logos. Now, if we take the creators around one of them, those creators constitute a collective creator. And that collective creator has also the logos in him. Therefore, there is a double pattern of the logos. The logos is the fullness of God in the creator, and the logos is also the fullness of the most high in the creator, and the fullness of the most high around the creator. Now we have learned that the most high is indivisible, immutable, he is transcendent, he includes all reality. There cannot be a reality outside of God. Otherwise, that reality added to the Most High will lead to an entity greater than the greatest possible being, which is impossible. So the Most High is the sole reality. He includes all reality. He is good. He is transcendent. He is the ultimate cause of reality, and he is indivisible. That Most High is what we call God. So from here on, when I speak of God, I'm not alluding to the Anglo-Saxon white bearded person in the sky. No, I'm alluding to the Most High Transcendence who is defined by the Kemetic cosmological argument. Therefore, we will call the Creator the children of God. Now, to cut the demonstration short, we are going to introduce now the cosmology. In the field of cosmology, we will ask ourselves this question: where is our temporal universe in relation to God? We know by hypothesis that it is in the consciousness of the most of God, of the Creator. But now the question is in relation to God. It cannot be inside God. Otherwise, at the moment of creation, God will change, which is impossible. God is absolutely immutable. It cannot be also outside of God. Otherwise, added to God, it will result in an entity greater than God, which is also impossible. So the temporal universe is only a perception of the celestial reality in the temporal consciousness of the Creator, which is the proof of our hypothesis. Reality is the invisible. The limitation we see around us and in us is only an illusion. In fact, each one of us is right now a child of God in heaven. This temporal limited nature is illusory, but the illusory is the limitation, not the good that we express. If this seems awkward to you, remember every morning you wake up and you see the sun going from east to west. But geography, which is science, tells you no, it is the earth going from west to east. So it is the same. You seems to be a mortal, material, sinning, sick person. But science, divine science, which is an exact science, tells you no, You are right now a child of God. So the seeming failing nature is illusory. But the problem, the question is how we came to be in this illusory state. The answer is that it cannot, this failure cannot be attributed to God. The fall cannot be attributed to God because God is immutable. Being love and being truth, God has endowed you and me with free will. Evil is the result of a child of God bad use of his free will. So that bad use of your free will led to your fall. Therefore, the reverse process, which is purification, should lead you back to your divine nature. I know that a question arises here. Is this doctrine of the fall of humanity an African doctrine? My answer is yes. In order to prove this, I'm going to recount the myth of Mawungu. This myth, which is found in the Congo religion, teaches that Mawungu stands for the original human being. Mawungu was divine. He had power over all the earth. He had dominion over the earth. And God forbid Mawungu never go around the sacred palm tree. However, led by the mortal impulse, Mawungu disobeyed one day. So he went clockwise around the palm tree and found himself divided into two beings, a male and a female, and they both became weak. So they tried to go the opposite route in order to get back the original, to recover the original nature. They still were weak. They married each other, but to no avail. They still were weak. These myths include cosmological and spiritual lessons. We are not going to linger on the cosmological implication. I'm going just to give you a glimpse of this. Remember, the fall was due to the fact that Mawungu went around the palm tree clockwise. Now, in the initiatory process of Kinkimba, which is the Divine Academy of the Congo Mystery, the Divine Academy of the Congo people, one of the ritual consisted in the initiator taking the hand of the candidate, raising both hands above his head, and spinning, turning counterclockwise. By turning counterclockwise, he impelled the candidate to turn around him clockwise. Now, you know that every children of God in heaven expresses the fullness of God, all the glory of God. Therefore, he is like a sun. In Kikongo, they say Loa. Loa, the same Loa is found in Haiti, in Haitian Voodoo. So the initiator stands for a sun, while the candidate stands for the earth. And this ritual shows that it is the earth that turns around the sun counterclockwise. In the Kinkiba, which is your martial academy, this same ritual is performed, but in another manner. The initiator saves the candidate by his feet, and whirled him around him and throws him in water. Now, by the time he is being whirled around, there is a power that keeps him from from getting away from the initiator. So there is a pull between the candidate and the initiator, which translates in the explanation of the gravitational pull. Rotation, gravitation, and translation all are explained in these rituals. What interests us the most is the spiritual lesson. The spiritual lesson is that the fall is due to disobedience. And in order to remedy to the fall, we have to turn to God through the purification of our thought. And that's why the basic nature of the divine practice is the purification of thought, gaining power, gaining the sacre of the holy ancestors through the purification of thought. We have seen that God has endowed each one of us with a free will. The heavens, like the heaven, respect our free will. If you don't call for the ancestor to assist you, they want to eat because you are free. If you need their help, you have to call them. But in order for your call to be efficient, you must conform with their demand of purity. I remember one day I was sick and I was ill in the living room. I was sleeping. I was lying down on the floor, but I had terrible pain so that I had to sit. But the least movement in order for me to sit down was causing excruciating pain. So I was in a quandary. I could not move, I could not also stay in the position I was. I remember that the ancestors are around me. So I told them, please make me sit down. After having done this simple prayer, I made the exact movement I was making, and that was causing me excruciating pain. This time it was made without the least pain, and I could sit down. I remember one time I bought a printer, a fast printer, which is called risograph. And risograph print about 150 paper sheet per minute. But when I bought it, it was second-hand and it wasn't working. I repaired the mechanical part, but it remained the electronic part which also didn't work. And I have no knowledge of electronics. So I prayed to the ancestor to show me how to repair it. And the intuition came to me clearly that it connects every electronic connection and put it back again. I did that with all the connection. And when I finished putting them back, the machine worked, the printer worked. Why people will call this intuition? But we in Africa, we know that what they call intuition, it is an ancestor speaking to you. The more you listen, you obey to your intuition, the more clear they will become. If you disobey to them often, they will be discouraged and let you because you are free. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that the purpose of prayer is not to turn God into some cosmic bellhop we ring for whenever we want something. The purpose of prayer is to remind us of our oneness with God, that we are made in God's image, each of us a channel for divine influence, creativity, and power. With practice, prayer opens this channel. Prayer is more than praise and petition. It is about more than what we think or want. It is about selflessness, not self. It is not an insistence. Listen, holy ancestors, I'm speaking, but an invocation. Speak, dear ancestors, I'm listening. Actually, Dr. King spoke about Holy Spirit, but I did speak about holy ancestors. In a court of law, because we have seen that to pray is like to defend your case in a court of law. And in a court of law, we surround ourselves with the best lawyers we can afford. Since prayer is to defend ourselves in a court of law, we have to surround ourselves with the best lawyers, that is, the holy ancestors. Remember, there is a hierarchy. God is transcendent, so He acts in our life through our divinities. Those divinities also act in our life through the divinities which are nearer to us. And these divinities are our holy ancestors. In the Egyptian book of the Dead, I have to tell you this first, that the Logos, the hierarchy of the divinity include God, the Most High, the Creator, and the Logos. The Most High God is called in Kikongo, the Congo region, Zambia, Pongo, Toledo. The Creator is Bumbalowa. The Logos is Pinanza. In the theology of Memphis in ancient Egypt, the Most High is called the Soul Lord or the One Lord. The Creator is Atum or Aton, and the Logos is Ta. And remember, it is Ta who acted in Atom for him to create. So Ta is the divinity abiding in the child of God. Now, Horus in the Egyptian Book of the Dead is defining himself by saying, I'm Horus. I'm the inhabitant in the heart, in the inhabitant of the body. This means that Horus is the divinity of you and me in this temporal level. Horus is the temporal manifestation of Ta, the celestial logos. But this dimension is represented in your life by the presence of holy ancestor, has holy spirits in you, animating you, and the presence of the same holy spirit, holy ancestor as surrounding you. So you have to call the best lawyer, and the best lawyers are the highest ancestors. To afford them means to purify yourself. The more pure you are, the highest ancestor you will draw to you, you will attract. And because we are endowed with free will, the ancestor can intervene in our life only if we call them. I spoke of this already. But we can afford the highest of these lawyers only through purification. And purification is a power that brings healing. I remember one time as a spiritual healer, I had a case of of a young person, a girl who was vomiting, she had diarrhea, headache, fever. She came with her mother. I prayed for her. The case didn't cease. So it came to me that I have to make a purification, an insisting purification. So I made a purification of her 3 times and she was healed. And recently I had one of my students who had a case of his knee was swollen so that he could not even walk. I asked him, how did you pray? He said, I essentially made purifications of myself all the day. And the next day, the situation was completely healed. Now you wonder how to purify oneself. I'm going to give you a schema that I use in my teachings, the purification process that I teach. You start from the fact that you are a child of God, because that is the reality. Remember, we said that the real is the good. And because you are a child of God, sin has no power, never had power to do you good. Remember, the so-called power of sin is its pretension to afford good to you and to me. If we understand that the pretension is false, that all goods come from God, we destroy the so-called power of sin. So in order to purify yourself, you have to pray. Lord, by Lord, I mean the Holy Ancestor, because you are addressing your prayer to the near divinities. Remember, God is transcendent. Lord, I thank you and know because you know it in me that I'm pure. I've always been pure and I shall always be pure. It means that you affirm your purity in the present, the past, and the future. But when you start with this process, by the time you say, I'm pure, I've always been pure, you will see evil thoughts coming to me telling you, and what about this and that in your past? Remember, we started from the point of view that you are a child of God. So you must not quit that point, but you must recognize that that was evil. But that sin never did me good. And because it never did me good, it cannot separate me from God. Therefore, I'm pure, have always been pure, and I shall always be pure. The more you do this, the less those souvenirs of those memories of sin will come. And by using this process, you will be overcoming sin. I don't expect you to become a saint overnight, and not that you can still fall. When a child learns to walk, we know that it can fall. So we put our hands around, and if the baby falls, we encourage him to stand up and walk again. If he does, he will be walking and even running. So it is with you. Remember, you can do it. Remember the last time You followed the trial. From the beginning, the question was asked to the one who was accused. Do you plead guilty? If the person pled guilty, the trial stopped. The judge will only examine the attenuating circumstances in order to lessen the pain of the punishment. If in front of evil you admit that you are sick or that there is pleasure in sin, you have pleaded guilty. You have accepted to suffer from sickness as the result of sin. You have accepted to suffer because you disobeyed and or because you didn't put yourself in proper protective relationship with holy ancestors. So begin by pleading not guilty. The trial is actually a process of affirmation and denial. We affirm the nature of God, the perfection of God, and we claim that perfection has the image and likeness of God. God is perfect. God doesn't know evil. God cannot suffer. Therefore, I'm the image and likeness of God. I cannot suffer. Sin has no pleasure on me, and I'm perfect right now. Remember, you have to seek the highest lawyers, to seek the succor of the highest holy ancestors. And the means to afford this is purification. Remember again, you have to follow the leading of your lawyers. Whatever truth you affirm, it is the holy ancestors who are affirming this in you. If you realize this, you are lending power to your affirmation. You have also to listen to your lawyers and accept their leading. This means you have to accept the inspiration coming to you during the moment of prayer. Every time I pray, if a truth pops up in my mind, I affirm that truth and I incorporate that truth in my prayer. It is an answer to my prayer. Be constant in your affirmation to the point of victory. Maintain your conviction of spiritual truth, the spiritual truth you are affirming, and the victory will be yours. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share. More on this subject can be found on my books available at Amazon.